Blessings, everybody. This is Dale. Thank you so much for joining with me today on the Word Podcast. We're in the second chapter of Romans, and I'm going to start at verse 24 of that chapter. Really, I'm going to back up verse 23. Remember, the Lord had been asking the people through Paul in this letter a couple of questions right here. And the last question was this: you who boast in the law, through your breaking the law, do you dishonor God? Well, the unstated answer is yes, they do dishonor God. But he's actually going to give a statement in the next verse. But think for a moment right here. There was a group of people who boasted in the law. Well, who are those that boasted in the law? Yeah, it was the Jews, because they were the ones who had the law. And we're going to see this at the end of the chapter. We've already read all the way through it. We've seen it. That he's speaking to the Jews right here who were boasting in the law. But they were breaking the law. And he says, don't you realize that when you boast in the law, through your breaking the law, that you dishonor God? Verse 24 says this: for the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you, just as it is written. And so why did he say just as it is written? Because in the Old Testament, there were places that expressed exactly that. Isaiah 52, verse 5 is one of them. It says this: now, therefore, what do I have here, declares the Lord, seeing that my people have been taken away without cause? Again, the Lord declares, those who rule over them howl, and my name is continually blasphemed all day long. Now, let me read that again and read it with a little more proper enunciation. Now, therefore, what do I have here, declares the Lord, seeing that my people have been taken away without cause? It's a question. The first part is a question. And he comes back and says, the ones that are ruling over and the ones that took them away are howling, and my name, in other words, they're rejoicing and jumping down because they've been victorious, and my name is continually blasphemed all the day long. Also in Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 20, when they came to the nations where they went, they profaned my holy name. This is the Lord speaking. Because it was said of them, these are the people of the Lord, yet they have come out of his land. So you have two situations here where the people of the Lord were causing the name of the Lord to be blasphemed because of the reaction of the ones who had captured him. Here, the name of the Lord is blasphemed among the Gentiles because of you. It's the same idea. It was because of what the Jews were doing that the name of the Lord was being blasphemed among the Gentiles. This is serious. I mean, it really is. And so he's taken the task on him. Verse 25, he continues, for indeed, circumcision is of value if you practice the law. But if you are a transgressor of the law, your circumcision has become uncircumcision. So why in the world did he bring up circumcision? What is that all about? Well, circumcision was given of God, and it's the sign of the covenant. Okay? It's the sign of the covenant. Now, the Jewish people were not the only people that practiced circumcision. There were other people that practiced it. But there were no other people that were under the covenant of the Lord, that the Lord had made covenant with, and that he gave this as a sign of the covenant. Well, they were resting and dependent upon their sign of the covenant and basically living like they wanted to, in any way they wanted to. They would transgress the laws, and they would just say, well, I'm circumcised, so I'm okay. I'm of the body. I'm a Jew. I'm of the Lord. I'm of his people. And he's saying that's not quite the way it works. And as a matter of fact, by the time he gets done with these next 5 or 6 verses, he eviscerates their standing, their understanding of who a Jew is and what circumcision is and what the law is. So what does he say here? If indeed circumcision is of value, if you practice the law, it's true. If you're practicing the law, if you're adhering to the law and you're circumcised, it is of value. But if you break the law, if you transgress the law, then your circumcision has become uncircumcision. It is as if you weren't and have never been circumcised. You are as a Gentile because you break the law. Well, then he asked a question, verse 26. So, if the uncircumcised man keeps the requirements of the law, will not his uncircumcision be regarded as circumcision? Now, it's easy gets to read through these things, easy gets to float through it, easy gets to think, well, this really doesn't have anything to do with me, I don't have to worry about it, I'm going to press on. Yeah, well, we miss a lot when we read anything like that, whether it's the instructions of how to put something together or a manual of how to operate something. We do have a tendency to read that way, just sort of float over things. But don't lose sight of what's happening here. He had just told him that if someone is uncircumcised and they keep the law, okay, if they keep the law, then they are as if they were circumcision. But if someone is of circumcision and they transgress the law, then they are as uncircumcision. So if the uncircumcised man keeps the requirement of the law, will not his circumcision be regarded, his uncircumcision be regarded as circumcision? He's letting them know what he has said already. Remember that whole first chapter? He was setting us up to this letter for everything he's going to be addressing and talking about. And he's really, really giving us insight in here to some things right here. You know, what it means to be a Jew, what it means to keep the law, what it means to be the circumcised, the uncircumcised. So, verse 27, and he who is physically uncircumcised, if he keeps the law, will he not judge you, who though having the letter of the law and circumcision are a transgressor of the law? Is a question. And he's telling us the one who is uncircumcised, but he keeps the law, is going to judge you, even though you're circumcised, even though you have the letter of the law, you transgress against the law. It's not the one who is just a hearer, it's the doer. It's not just the one who has it genealogically or as far as the family line, anything like that. No. Now, the last two verses, listen to this, verse 28. For he is not a Jew who is one outwardly, nor is circumcision that which is outward of the flesh. So it's not just the outward type of thing, the circumcision, that makes you a Jew. Verse 29, but he is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is that which is of the heart, by the Spirit, not by the letter, and his praise is not from men, but from God. In my lifetime, there's been many ups and downs where people find out that they'll start teaching and preach something like this. So therefore, the real Jews are those who are believers. Therefore, we as Gentiles are no longer Gentiles, we are Jews because we've been grafted in. In a manner of speaking, that's true. But what he's talking about here is who are the people of the Lord? The ones that are the people of the Lord are the ones that have had their hearts circumcised by the Spirit, not by the letter of the law, and that have praise that doesn't come from man in religious activities and adherence to law, but praise that comes from God. Those are the true Jew. Those are the true family members of the kingdom of God. Well, again, I'm Dale. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.